I'm going to tell you about the future and how we got here and where we're going. I call this Designing the Future. Hi there, crypto fans. Hi there, remote viewing fans. Dick Allgire here. It's a beautiful Sunday afternoon at Ethereum Place. Okay, in 1876, Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone. He said, "Mr. Watson, I need you." That was an amazing invention because communication is key to the progress of humanity. Communication is key to where the human race in this world is going. So we had the telephone in 1876. Alexander Graham Bell invented that. AT&T, they were trying to put telephone lines across America. Thomas Edison improved upon that by creating a foil membrane, a diaphragm, and then using bits of charcoal to turn that into an amplified signal that could be put over wires. And they were trying to make the signal go farther and stronger. They developed copper wires. AT&T and Bell Labs, well, AT&T and the inventors at the time created Bell Labs. Here's Bell Labs. This was the greatest accumulation of scientific thought and scientific minds. And here's a key. This technology that they have been unleashing on us for the last over a century, this technology was not really thought up on the spot and invented by humans. This is technology that predated humans. They gathered these great minds, they set problems in front of them, and this was seeded to them. This was given to them by way of dreams, by way of maybe a chance conversation, by way of ideas that were dropped in and allowed to germinate in the great minds that were at Bell Labs. So in 1907, AT&T came up with a term that they called universal service. That's very important because that's where we are today, and we'll get to that in a minute, but universal service. AT&T's goal, and this was back in 1907 when very few people had telephones, was to create a system where everyone on Earth could communicate with everyone else on Earth simultaneously. How to go about that? They seeded the great minds, and they put this theory out there and let it develop organically. Now, in 1807, when you had a rudimentary telephone and copper wire, if you would have given them an iPhone, it would not have been possible because the infrastructure to create an iPhone at the Earth at that time was not possible. The programming, the computer knowledge, the rare earth minerals that would be needed to be mined, the entire network, the entire concept, it had to be given to humanity step by step by step. And that was the purpose of Bell Labs. So in 1915, they had the first transcontinental phone call, and they came up with an important invention, which was am I going to spell this? How do you spell vacuum? The vacuum tube. Did I just misspell vacuum? The vacuum tube. What that allowed them to do was amplify signals. It was a clean amplifier. It used a lot of energy. It was cumbersome, but the vacuum tube was a significant step towards universal service. During World War II, Bell Labs was very, very busy. They had secret programs where they were developing all kinds of scientific technology. One of the greatest innovations of World War II, the thing that they spent the most money on was not, the most money, you would think World War II, most money, Manhattan Project, the atom bomb. They actually spent more time, energy, research, money on radar. Radar was a significant achievement, probably the more significant achievement of World War II. The big one, though, was 1947. Two things happened in 1947. a flying saucer crashed in Roswell, New Mexico, and that was a way to seed technology. And another bit of technology that came out of 1947, this was a big one, the transistor. Transistors are important because they're energy efficient, they're small, and they enable communication to take giant leaps forward. So the transistor in 1947 was a big step on the road to universal service. Information theory. This came out of Bell Labs. There was a man named Claude Shannon who wrote a paper or a book called A Mathematical Theory of Communication. So Claude Shannon said there's got to be a way to take analog information and transmit it into bits, which was the basis of modern computing. So Claude Shannon was the father of modern communication with information theory. A couple of other things came out. The charge coupled device, which is CCD camera, that is television. Computer language came out of information theory, Unix, C coding, Linux, Macintosh, all the computers that we use today, all of the information technology came out of information theory and Claude Shannon. Now we're on the cusp of artificial intelligence, and we are about to come to the Internet of Things. And the Internet of Things is exactly what they meant by universal service. Universal service, proposed in 1907, is coming true right now, these many years later. And it is going to be run as a communication device that will run with blockchain distributed ledger technology. And the accounting of all this flow of information in the Internet of Things with the universal service will be cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin. I always bring it back to Bitcoin, don't I? Yes, Bitcoin, as I record this, is about $108,000. We'll watch it go to $140,000 this year. What's going to happen? The bond market is going to have big, big trouble. And as people realize that bonds are not a safe place to put liquidity, that money will flow into Bitcoin, and we're going to see an explosion of cryptocurrency value. So that's the future. We're living it. It's been designed. It's been given to us. Blockchain predated this civilization. We're just taking our rightful place within the universal service. Aloha.